weekend. Let's bring in Richard Davenport as it is a recruiting Thursday. Richard, Tommy and I were joking. Is that the easiest pitch ever if you're Brad McMakin? Hey, you want to come play golf at the University of Arkansas, John Daly Jr.?
Yeah, that's kind of like a no-brainer. You know, if he didn't, he'd not be sleeping on the couch or sleeping in the garage or something, huh?
Yeah, can you imagine if John Jr. had told his dad he wanted to play at Texas or LSU? Yeah, he'd have been cut out of the will or something, you know?
Disowned.
Yeah, that could have got nasty.
Yeah, so that wasn't going to fly. So there was no doubt about where he was going to go. So,
yeah,
no doubt about that.
It was really cool to see that. Well, Richard, there, recruiting news-wise, Tommy and I have been discussing today, when you look at this football game on Saturday night, 4 SEC games canceled this weekend. You're in prime time. You're on ESPN. You're paying a top 5 opponent, top 5 in the coaches poll. I think they're 6th in the AP. I think that's going to bring a lot of eyes to the television screen that might not have necessarily watched Arkansas football this year. How important is it for them to show out on Saturday night? Not necessarily win, but show out for just high school recruits who maybe are watching Arkansas for the first time this weekend, Richard?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. A lot of kids may be probably would be watching their team or something like that, some of the teams that they're considering and maybe not considering Arkansas, and they see the Hogs play well and like what they see. I mean, especially underclassmen, 22 class, 23 class. This is an opportunity to really showcase your program. And if you do well, play well, and somehow come out with a win, that would be obviously huge. You know, whenever something like that happens, you come up with a big win. It just makes conversations for the coaches when they talk to kids the next week so much easier. It gives them some talking points and gives them some positivity. And kids like a winner like everybody else.
Yeah. And, you know, you just look at Florida. We were talking about the history of this series, and Arkansas has struggled. They only won twice ever, one of those going back to the early 80s and that Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston. Arkansas has only won once since joining the SEC against Florida. We were looking at this history in this series. The 10 times you've played, Florida's been ranked 9 of those, and like 3 of the 10 times they've been ranked number 1 in the country. Another time, number 2 in the country. Every time you play Florida, they're a great team, and again, another top 10 team. You know, it's just been filled with that because Florida recruits well. They're always good, Richard.
Yeah, when Arkansas first joined the SEC, I mean, Florida was rolling, and Spurrier and his crew was putting a hurting on Arkansas. You knew when Arkansas played Florida, it wasn't going to be very pretty, and now just for Arkansas to be able to be competitive and go into a game against Florida, a top 10 program, and have the thoughts of possibly pulling it out. I mean, that's how refreshing is that, especially after the last few years.
Yeah, you just look at you played them number 1 when they were 96, 97, and 09. 95 title game, they were ranked number 2 in the country. So the only time Arkansas has beat them since joining the SEC was the last time in Fayetteville in 2016. So that's been a tough track there. So what's it going to take? Is it a bunch of turnovers? This storm's not going to be a part of it. Felipe Frank's going back. He's got to have a razor sharp game. What's going to happen in your mind for Arkansas to pull what would be a very surprising upset and be obviously a signature win for Sam Pittman's ball club?
Yeah, I mean, Trask, I mean, if they had another quarterback, any quarterback other than Trask, I mean, I would think that, the odds would obviously go up. But, man, that guy's just playing the lights out. If you can somehow come up with you got to win the turnover margin on Saturday. There's just no doubt about it. And Arkansas has been able to do that very well this season. But and you got to keep yours to a minimum, absolute minimum. I'd say 0. And that's one thing that Arkansas has done also. 3 interceptions from Franks. They've lost, I think, 3 or 4 fumbles. You want to keep that trend going and then play as well as you possibly can, and just don't turn the ball over and hope you can get some from them.
Richard Davenport with us, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Richard, let's shift the conversation to basketball. You signed two guys yesterday, AK and Chance Moore. When you look at just what Eric Musselman has done so far in the recruiting classes this past year, getting 4 of the top 5 kids in state. It's already got Joseph Pinion committed this year. Arkansas is kind of like just a bustering oil field when it comes to basketball talent within this state. How much basketball talent is there in this state for years to come that Eric Musselman has to work with inside the state of Arkansas?
Well, we've already talked about the 22 class, and the 23 class looks pretty good, but the 24 class also looks promising too. You got Dallas Thomas from Little Rock Parkview, who Scotty Thurman thinks will be a national recruit. He's a 6'7" wing. Kid who's very, very skilled, and then N.R. Boateng, who's already got an offer at Little Rock Central, who looks like a college basketball player right now from a physical standpoint. He's about 6'5", about 195, and just chiseled, even though he really hasn't been lifting weights until just recently. And there's some other 24 guys to keep an eye on, but it just looks like for the next few years and probably and beyond, Coach Musselman's going to be able to focus on the state and dip into other states occasionally, but try to keep these in-state guys in state, and the program should flourish.
Richard, when you look at the 4 freshmen this year, you got a chance to watch those guys at the high school ranks, and I think Moses Moody's a deadlock guy that he's going to start game number 1 and then the final game of their college basketball season. But as a guy that watched these guys at high school, knows their tendencies a little bit, what should we expect from Moody, Robinson, Williams, and Davis this upcoming season?
Well, Moses, and I said this about 5-6 years ago when he was playing AU ball, and he was like a 15-year-old. And after watching him in Vegas, I said he's got the it factor, and he has a very high basketball IQ, knows the game very well, knows when to. He lets the game to come to him, but at the same time, when he needs to step it up, he can do that. And obviously, he shoots the ball very well. Jalen Williams can go inside out, face the basket. I think that he's got a bright future if he continues to get more aggressive. And I think that the sky's the limit for him because his ability to go score on all 3 levels. And then with KK and Devontae, they're classic point guards. With KK, probably a little bit more shooting range than Devontae. Devontae's more of a guy that drives to the basket and gets mid-range type shots, but I think he's working on his shot. But very promising freshman class, and I think you're going to see definitely you're hearing a lot about Jalen Williams and Moses Moody, and I'm sure KK and Devontae will have their times too.
We've seen some high school basketball begin this week or so around the state. What's your gut feeling tell you, not just about high school, but even college basketball, which we're 2 weeks or so away from it beginning? What's your gut feeling? What's this season going to pan out and look like with the pandemic?
That's a good question. Like what Maumelle, I think they missed 3 consecutive weeks of games on Friday nights because of COVID. So you just don't know. And with obviously kids so close together, I mean, that's up. It's really some of that's up to the coaches of each school. How seriously do they take it, and do they kind of keep the kids separate whenever you can have them separate, say in meetings and other areas like on the bus going to games and stuff like that. I think it's up to the leadership of each school and how seriously they take the COVID protocols and everything. It's going to be interesting because there's going to be some going to be some cancellations, and heck, the thing is, contract tracing can
Yes.
just basically wipe you out if you're basketball.
Well, and we were just talking about the simple numbers with basketball, whether it's Eric Musselman's team or a college team or a high school team. You got 15 or so on the team. 13 scholarship players with Eric Musselman's team, and 2 more players you add to the roster. In football, you got 85 scholarship players. Your roster runs up over 100 players. You got to have 53 to play the game. In basketball, you get one positive test. The contact tracing goes from there. At what point are you going to say we have enough players to play the game? Obviously, 5's not enough. Is 7 enough? Is 8 enough? Is 9 enough? Where's the cutoff in basketball that, hey, I'm comfortable going to play this game with 8 players, 7 players? I don't know where you draw that line, but high school coaches, college coaches are going to have to make that decision on, yes, we'll play with 6. Yes, we'll play with 7. Yes, we'll play with 8. I don't know where that number is going to be.
That's a very good point, and that's something that I'm kind of somewhat surprised that hasn't already been addressed from the AAA. But I guess it's up to each individual program, and for them to decide. Because sometimes if you have the right 7, and
depends on who the 7 are.
Exactly.
Is it my starting 5 and my best 2 off the bench, or is it which 7 are they? Or is it my worst 7? Well, I don't want to play.
Exactly. Well, hey, coach, we're struggling here.
Exactly.
I got Billy Bob. It's never shot the basketball in a game, and he's going to be my tallest starter, and he's probably my best, unfortunately. Yeah. So I mean it's. I think you're going to see a lot of games canceled, and it's just going to be a status quo for kind of like football. There's going to be some weeks you have more games than others, and some weeks you don't.
Richard, before we let you go, man, it is National French Dip Day. Do you have a favorite spot to go get a delicious and delectable French dip down there in Central Arkansas?
I'm not a French dip guy. I've had a few, but I'm not a big. I can't remember the last time I've had French dip.
You're not an au jus man?
No, man. Hey, I'm not Ty. This dude, he must eat out all the time. It's amazing, and I've said it so many times. Your list. I may have a top 3, but you always have a top 10. There's no way I could have a top 10 on a lot of the things that you put out.
Well, in about 20 years, you'll have a top 10 cardiologist list.
It's going to be rough. Richard, Phil and I are going to eat before the red-white game tonight, and there's just going to be this massive burrito I'm about to get. It's like 2 or 3 pounds. I'll make sure to send you a picture later tonight.
Oh, man. Tommy, talk to him, buddy. I'm trying.
Top 10 places to get a colonoscopy, brought to you by Ty Richardson.
Yeah, so we're going to have to get... We're going to have to get one of this on. Richard, we appreciate it as always. You always deliver the goods, both football, basketball, recruiting, and then obviously food as well. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. We'll see you guys.
Best of the best. Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. You can always read his stuff. He is Richard Davenport.